So let's dive right into what's making Milwaukee the newest hotspot for high-stakes courtroom drama. And no, it's not a new season of some edgy legal thriller. We're talking about Judge Hannah Dugan, a name you probably haven't heard unless you're really into obscure judicial figures. She made the jump from respected Milwaukee County Circuit Court judge to FBI arrestee. Quite a career pivot, huh? Here's the gist. On April 18th, during a routine court session, she allegedly did something that was, let's say, non-traditional for a judge. According to court records, Judge Dugan apparently helped one, Eduardo Flores Ruiz, an undocumented immigrant, escape a courthouse sting by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents, and not in a subtle way either. She allegedly let him and his attorney slip out through a restricted jury door. Now, Flores Ruiz didn't get far, though. ICE agents reportedly caught him after a little foot chase, and a week later, bam, the FBI showed up at the courthouse, arrested Judge Dugan, and slapped her with federal charges of obstruction and concealing an individual to prevent arrest. Nice to see the feds are keeping busy, right? Dugan's been temporarily relieved of her duties by the Wisconsin Supreme Court, but, of course, she's denying everything. According to her, she's innocent, and she's not going down without a fight. Her legal team? Oh, she's not cutting corners there. She's got Paul Clement, a former U.S. Solicitor General, and Stephen Biskupich, former U.S. Attorney. Not exactly your neighborhood public defenders, huh? And it seems like everyone's got an opinion on this, from allegations of judicial activism to cries of federal overreach. This case is more polarizing than pineapple on pizza. But before we wade into the politics, let's just sit with the facts. That's where it always gets tricky. Judge Dugan, federal charges, restricted jury door, ICE agents. The arrest of Judge Dugan hasn't exactly been met with dead silence. Nope. It's become a full-blown political circus, a debate. Democrats, surprise, surprise, are outraged. Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers and Senator Tammy Baldwin, among others, are calling this an attack on judicial independence and intimidation tactic by the feds. Because, nothing screams fair judiciary like FBI agents storming a courthouse. Now, on the other side of the aisle, you've got Republicans practically applauding. Representative Derek Van Orden, for instance, says this is finally addressing so-called judicial activism, undermining immigration enforcement. I mean, depending on who you ask, Judge Dugan's either a hero for standing up to ICE, or she's a poster child for why we need stricter checks on judges. Yep, it's yet another episode of bipartisan bickering. But wait, there's more. This case hasn't just lit up political headlines, it's spilled into the streets. Advocacy groups are now labeling this arrest as a federal overreach, a blow to due process, and of course, to judicial independence. And honestly, the energy in these protests is kind of impressive. The signs, the chants, they're pulling out all the stops. Still, it does raise an interesting question. At what point does upholding the law cross into playing politics? Or maybe playing politics is the entire law. Now, who knows? It's a blurry line, folks. So here we are, standing knee-deep in the swamp of judicial independence and immigration policy. Two topics that, let's be honest, make for the kind of headlines that could put a Red Bull factory out of business. But this Judge Hannah Dugan story, it's got a certain flair to you, and no, not the good kind of flair, more like the kind that makes you reconsider whether the system's a well-oiled machine or just duct tape holding worn-out gears together. Let's talk big picture for a second. What happens when judiciary and executive powers collide? Well, theoretically, they balance each other out, right? That's like democracy 101. But what we're seeing here is more like a game of tug of war. If the judge is truly guilty, then, yeah, that's a terrible breach of what a courtroom should stand for. But if she's innocent, and this was just federal theatrics, well, that's equally chilling. Either way, trust in the judiciary takes a hit. And let's not forget the shimmer of immigration in this conversation. A policy topic so polarized, it's practically wearing sunglasses and a disco ball. Judge Dugan potentially letting someone avoid ICE enforcement. That's got people debating whether she was taking a stand or crossing a line. On one hand, immigration enforcement, sure. On the other hand, the judiciary being, independent. Balancing human impact versus hardline policies is this whole legal gray zone. And as it stands, everybody seems to see gray as either black or white. No middle ground. No nuance. Just extremes. And honestly, these are questions that probably won't get a clear answer anytime soon. But what this case really does is put a magnifying glass over just how messy these power dynamics are. It's a little like a jazz jam session. Every soloist wants to lead, and the rhythm section is just trying to keep things from falling apart completely. And right now, folks, the saxophone player and drummer are in a heated argument. Shall we call it creative tension? So, what do we take away from all this? That the scales of justice aren't just tipped, they're under renovation. That immigration debates are as endless as group texts nobody wanted to be part of. Or maybe it's just that everything's a bit more absurd than we'd care to admit. Either way, folks, it's a good reminder to watch what happens next, because you never know. This might just be Act 1 of a much bigger legal drama. And hey, if nothing else, it gives us all a reason to stay tuned in. Because let's face it, this whole circus isn't leaving town anytime soon. On that note, I'll catch you next time, folks. Stay sharp, stay skeptical, and don't forget, democracy is always on a tightrope. See you soon.